Something very sinister and terrifying is taking place across the world in remote locations. People are vanishing without a trace, and case after case hints that something unimaginably dark may be behind it. In the endless forests and shadowed mountains, men, women, and children disappear. Sometimes within sight of their families, sometimes while walking the safest of trails. Entire search parties scour the same ground for days, only for the missing to later be discovered in impossible locations, or never at all. Ghostly voices echo from ravines, crying out for help where no one stands. Clothes are found scattered, torn, or eerily folded, as though placed with purpose by an unseen hand. The deeper you look, the more these disappearances begin to suggest the presence of something ancient, intelligent and merciless, something science refuses to acknowledge. Now we descend into some of the most unsettling, unexplained vanishings ever recorded. Disappearances that force us to confront a terrible question: is there something ancient, unseen, and beyond human comprehension at work in these wild places? A force that moves through the forests like a shadow, claiming those who wander too close. In the depths of the wilderness, there exists a pattern of disappearances that defies explanation. David Paulides has chronicled them under the title Missing 411, but the details, when taken together, begin to resemble something far stranger than chance, crime, or accident. The first case is that of Dennis Martin, a 6-year-old boy who vanished in 1969 in the Smoky Mountains. He was playing hide-and-seek with his brother and other children near Spence Field. Within seconds, he was gone. Search teams, Green Berets, bloodhounds, hundreds scoured the area. Nothing. Witnesses later reported hearing a scream in the forest, and a family miles away claimed they saw something large, hairy, and man-like moving swiftly through the trees, carrying what looked like a child. Dennis was never found. How can a boy vanish from under the eyes of his own family within mere seconds? What did those people witness that day? Then there is the haunting disappearance of 14-year-old Stacy Arras in Yosemite, 1981. She stepped away from her father and the others at Sunrise High Sierra Camp to photograph a lake just a few hundred feet away. In that short distance, in broad daylight, surrounded by people, she was gone. Her belongings remained behind. Helicopters, dogs, and search teams scoured the wilderness, yet not a trace of her was ever found. It was as if the forest swallowed her whole, erasing every footprint, every sign of existence. A child doesn't vanish into nothingness a few steps from safety, unless the wilderness itself opens like a mouth and consumes her. Cases like this whisper of places where reality thins, where unseen forces move, and where the earth does not just hold us, it takes us. The unsettling thing about the missing 411 phenomenon is not just the disappearances themselves, it's the patterns that emerge across case after case. Almost as if the wilderness is playing by rules we can't see. Bad weather moves in at the exact moment searches begin, blinding rescuers and erasing vital tracks. Search dogs and cadaver dogs fail to pick up any scent, as though the missing were plucked out of reality itself. Victims are so often found near water, lakes, rivers, swamps, or in boulder fields, places long associated with strange energy and folklore. Their clothes are missing, sometimes neatly folded, sometimes scattered, leaving them exposed in conditions where survival should have been impossible. Time and again, children are found miles away from where they vanished, in terrain even seasoned adults couldn't cross. Many are discovered at elevations that defy all logic, as if they were carried there. Others reappear in areas already searched dozens of times, lying in plain sight, as though returned from somewhere else. The deeper these patterns are studied, the more they suggest something deliberate, something unknown moving through the wilderness, taking and returning at will, mocking our attempts to understand. The case of Charles McCullough adds another layer of unease. In 1975, McCullough, a young photographer, went to Crater Lake in Oregon. When his remains were finally found months later, they were disturbingly odd. His body had somehow decomposed in a way that left only his jeans, socks, and a few bones neatly placed. His belt buckle was undone. There was no flesh, no full skeleton, as if he had been carefully harvested. And the location was in a remote, steep area, unlikely for him to have reached unaided. Did someone, or something, arrange his remains in this ritualistic way? Timothy Barnes was only 20 years old when he disappeared on what should have been a routine hike. He knew the outdoors, he knew the terrain, and yet he simply vanished. Search teams swept the trails over and over, finding no trace. But then, days later, his body turned up near a trailhead that had already been searched extensively. This is one of the most unsettling motifs in the missing 411 cases, the paradoxical recovery. How can someone lie in the open in a place already examined, as if they were placed there after the fact? The question gnaws at every searcher, every investigator. Are these people being hidden only to be returned when something decides the time is right? Another haunting disappearance is that of Aaron Hedges in Montana's Crazy Mountains in 2014. Hedges was hunting with friends when he vanished. Months later, his remains were found miles away in an area that had been thoroughly searched before, near a cabin where his boots and gear were neatly placed. His skeletal remains were scattered, but there was no clear evidence of predation. Why was his gear removed? Why was he found in an area thought to be impenetrable? And why does this exact pattern, the removal of shoes, the scattering of bones, repeat across hundreds of cases? In 2013, 51-year-old Mitchell Dale Staling vanished in Mesa Verde after setting out on a short hike. Massive searches scoured the canyons and cliffs, yet he was never found. Searchers and hikers reported hearing a faint male voice calling, "I need some help," echoing from the rocks, yet no source was ever located. The same voice was reported again the next day, but every attempt to reach it ended in silence. Years later, his remains surfaced miles away in terrain he should never have reached, delivered back by the wilderness long after hope was gone. No sign of foul play, no clear cause. Just a voice fading into the cliffs, and a body returned only when whatever held him was finished. The Van Alst case in 1946, involving 8-year-old Catherine in Colorado, bears the same unsettling markers of high strangeness. She vanished from her campsite without a trace, and 6 days later, searchers discovered her, alive, miles away in brutal, unforgiving terrain. She was barefoot, her clothes torn, her small body somehow having survived cold nights without food or shelter. When asked how she endured, she spoke of sleeping in caves and of following a mysterious light. What was this light that drew a child through mountains and darkness? A hallucination of survival, or something otherworldly guiding her steps from just beyond the veil? Cases like this suggest the wilderness hides more than predators and peril. It may conceal forces that bend reality itself. In 2013, in Colorado, 18-year-old Joe Keller set out for a jog near a guest ranch and was never seen alive again. He vanished along a familiar trail in broad daylight, as if swallowed whole by the wilderness itself. Despite extensive searches, nothing surfaced until a year later, when his body was discovered in an area already combed multiple times, lying in plain sight where it should have been found long before. The official cause of death was listed as undetermined, but the truth feels far stranger. It is as if Keller was taken into some unseen fold of reality and only returned when whatever held him no longer needed him. And finally, the haunting case of Jack Gordon, who vanished in New Hampshire's White Mountains in 1939. Searchers combing the dense forest reported hearing faint, desperate voices calling for help. Voices that seemed to echo from nowhere, drifting through the trees like the forest itself was alive and mocking them. Every time they pursued the cries, the sound vanished, leaving nothing but the oppressive silence of the wilderness. Days later, Gordon's body was found near a logging road, right in plain sight of an area that had been searched repeatedly. No signs of struggle, no explanation for how he had come to be there. Across countless disappearances, witnesses speak of sounds and presences that defy reason. Voices that drift through the wilderness, glimpses of lights that vanish when approached, and shadows that seem to move with intent. In these remote wilds, the forest, the mountains, the forgotten corners of the earth, they are not inert. They watch, they manipulate. Liminal spaces shimmer with the presence of trickster-like entities, bending perception and luring travelers toward unseen dangers. Here, the boundaries between the living and the taken collapse, leaving behind only a terror that is as vast as it is unknowable, a darkness that gnaws at the edges of comprehension. These disappearances thread through Paulides' work like a shadow that never lifts, a shadow that hints at a hidden order behind the chaos of the wilderness. Bodies found where they should never be, shoes removed in freezing weather, children surviving impossible distances, and sometimes voices, lights, and presences that defy human understanding. We must pause here because the truth is far darker than speculation allows. Are these vanishings the work of unseen entities, unknown paranormal forces, extra-dimensional powers, or otherworldly manifestations? Perhaps even ultra-terrestrial intelligences operating beyond our comprehension? That answer is for another time. Tonight, all we have are the cases themselves and the chilling realization. The wilderness is not merely beautiful. It is a place where the veil thins, where the laws of reality falter, and where the human body, and perhaps the soul, can be taken without a trace. Remember this: when you step into the forest, you may already be walking among things that are not meant to be seen. All of these chilling cases come from the dedicated research of David Paulides, whose Missing 411 work has uncovered unsettling patterns in wilderness disappearances that might otherwise remain hidden. His investigations have brought these mysteries into the light, giving voice to the missing and their families. If you find this topic compelling, please support David and his work at his official site, canammissing.com.